Hi, everyone. So this is a YouTube series on modernization. Today is our second episode, and I would like to introduce to you Eric Forage, who is from SAI 360, and he is the VP of Engineering and the head of the development work there. Eric, welcome to this AWS Talk Show on the modernization.
Thanks for the introduction, Ajay. Happy to be a part of this.
Hey, Eric. Welcome to our show today. And before we get into asking more questions about your modernization journey, we would like to know a little bit about your company and the products and services. And tell us a little bit about your end customers as well.
SAI 360 is an integrated GRC platform that focuses on providing management for highly regulated industries, risk and compliance needs. A lot of our clients, as you can see, are part of the Fortune 500, as well as a lot of global industry banks and financial institutions.
Awesome. And just one more question that I had was, before you began this journey to move to cloud, was your organization a product-based organization, or was it more like a project-based structure?
SAI 360 has always been a product-based organization with a combination of services to customize and curate the compliance requirements for the organization that is procuring our software.
Awesome. So let's move on to understanding your migration journey. Over to you, Ajay.
Yeah, thank you so much, Eric. So can you elaborate on the specific factor that you guys got motivated for the decision to move to cloud?
Yeah, at the start of the decision to become a cloud-first organization, the organization was part of a larger portfolio-based company with 5 different portfolio companies within it. And all of our services were delivered through 7 global data centers scattered throughout the world. And we had a very small cloud footprint. The business wanted to be a little bit more agile in the way that we were working with our technology and get away from a CapEx operating model and move more towards an OpEx operating model, as well as to give the business the opportunity and the agility to do and perform M&A activity.
And so before you started this migration fully in cloud, did you had a cloud-first strategy implemented in the organization?
No, there was no cloud-first strategy at the onset of this migration strategy. This migration strategy was triggered by the business adopting a cloud-first strategy.
Awesome. And then if you can ask some benefits that your end user got from this migration, how did they benefit from this migration? Was there anything significant changes or improvement that they saw in the way they interacted with your products?
Yeah, so I mean, I would say the natural benefits of cloud computing really gave way to our customer base. Amazon's investment in secure, compliant infrastructure is a lot better than what we could have ever invested in posture within our data centers. So it allowed us to really focus on the product and delivery of our products versus securing our data centers.
Yeah, and as you know, being this any change is always create some disruption at some level, right? How did you manage the expectation of your business users or your users around that? Hey, throughout this journey of migrating to cloud, how did you manage the outages and the disruption and the change management process with your customers?
Yeah, so for each data center, we basically did a 90-day kind of lead time with our customers. So it is a combination of structured communication and outreach to our customers, as to what we were doing, why we were doing it, and what changes to expect. Specifically, like IP whitelisting, changes where mail's going to come from, stuff to that nature that enterprise organizations tend to have in place when interacting with sensitive data like ours.
In zooming into a little bit on your migration strategy, how did you guys manage some of the integrations that you have externally across your different portfolio of products, right? If you're dependent on any third-party type of integration, migrating from on-prem to cloud, how did you manage those integrations are intact while before you move, before and after you move to cloud, and your customer have a minimum disruption? Because this is a question that gets asked to me by many customers that, how do we make sure that it's a smooth integration, there is no disruption when it comes to integrating with third-party products?
Yeah, so I mean, what we did for each product that we moved, we did a very thorough mapping of what DNS records were out there, what integrations, what ingress points were there that the customers were using, and any external integrations that we had egress requirements with. We mapped all that out prior to kind of picking up the workload and dropping it in Amazon. So having that structured document and discovery through those allowed us to map the requirements of moving those items smoothly and easily.
Nice. I bet this was a big endeavor, right? Migrating off so many data center onto cloud. And I also spoke to the account team, and you did it on your own without any help, external help. It's definitely outstanding. What type of challenges did you face? How did you plan for this project, without any external help?
Yeah, so I mean, the common fears within the organization were there. It's like, oh, how is this going to be secured? Do we have enough training? Do we know what we're doing? Et cetera, et cetera. Those were all there. The way that we mitigated those issues is we took a fact-based approach. It's like Amazon's investing a ton of money into security. They're doing a lot better job than we could have ever done inside of our own data centers to secure the physical layers all the way up through the hypervisor layer, where the segregation of duties and roles and responsibility requirements, where Amazon hands it off to us, where we actually start consuming the services. So really kind of outlining and inside the organization with just cold hard facts allowed us to get away from that and allow us just to actually execute. Once we got past that, the execution phase of like actually doing the actual migration, we didn't do a lot of heavy like onboarding or training of the AWS platform. I came in from like doing large enterprise migrations into public cloud from previous engagements roles. So I was able to curate a little bit of the journey as to what we need to do. But really what it came down to is setting down with the team, being like, at the end of the day, there is no real difference on moving a VM from VMware to AWS or VMware to VMware. The constructs are still the same. You're moving a VM, you're replicating it, you're cutting it over, and you're moving DNS to its new ingress. So once we got past I need all this extra training, et cetera, and we're just starting to execute, and we're being very successful in kind of the small bite-sized configurations that we migrated early on. Everyone got really comfortable about it, and all of that fear went away.
So during the planning phase, when you did assessment of your portfolio with high risk, low risk, medium risk, was your strategy to attack the first low-hanging fruit and first go with the low risk portfolio items, or you started with a high risk portfolio item?
It was more predicated on timing on
Oh,
contractual renewals of our data centers. So the data center contractual renewals really led and drove the roadmap as to how we were going to migrate. So we actually ended up migrating some of the higher risk stuff early on, just due to some of the contractual requirements, where it's like we were gonna have some circuit renewals coming up pretty early on, and our 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 methodology was we were not going to renew any circuit, any data center lease. We weren't going to move it into a month to month. We were just going to take that as our lead time and our target date to exit a data center.
awesome. Now, just purely on the tooling side, is there any particular tool that you used during a migration which was a tremendous help, and our viewer would like to know about it?
Yeah, so there was two ways that we were very successful with this. For every data center that was in scope, we lit up 10 gig interfaces with Megaport to AWS. So for each data center, we had a 10 gig migration pipe that allowed us to do replication over. So we were able to accelerate our replication of our data very quickly and very easily over that direct connect pipe through Megaport. Uh, from a replication and migration tool that we used a product called Cloud Endure, which now is AWS's Elastic migration tool, and it's also used in Elastic Disaster Recovery service. That's what we used to completely migrate all of our workloads over.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Eric, for sharing your migration strategy or letting us have some insight into how you did that. Uh, just a question, how many data centers did you have, and then how much time did it take for you to close out these data centers?
So we had 7 data centers across the world. On each data center, we kind of had a 90-day window that we would attack and execute on. But we were able to migrate or close all 7 data centers within 18 months.
Awesome. And then just want to know, can you elaborate a little bit more about your decision-making process behind the closure of each of these data centers, and especially what was the impact, if any, the global impact of closing out these data centers on your services?
So a lot of the decision making we really looked at kind of high value customers. So we looked at our customer base. We mapped it to high value customers in each data center. We reached out to them individually from our group communication. Had a conversation early on with them. It's like, this is what's happening. Here's the outage window that we're planning on. Just make sure it aligned with their business expectations. So we didn't run into any like upset customers. Everything was just kind of like very streamlined in that perspective. So as we're closing, as we're actually executing on the migrations of a data center, we had another team that was already prepping the customer base in parallel as we're going. So there's 2 work streams of heavy communication, heavy interaction with our customer base, and the actual execution of the migration services. So basically, we took a product per outage window, and we cut it over per outage window. We would take a 4 to 6 hour hard outage for each application as we were going through it, and we'd cut that entire application over, do another one the next week, et cetera, et cetera.
Awesome. And then how many services, like I'm just trying to understand the magnitude of your migration. what kind of services, how many services, and how many customers did this migration impact? And you said you did it over 18 months. So just
Yeah. So
understand the magnitude.
yeah. So I mean, we have uh, around 5,000 customers leveraging our products across the globe. That may not sound like a lot of customers, but uh, if you look at the underlying aspect of it, is roughly about 3,000 servers and roughly about uh, 2 petabytes of data that we actually moved in this time frame.
Wow, that's awesome. And then one more question about your data center closures. How did you divest your data center assets?
Yeah, we partnered with an IT asset recovery company to actually go into the data centers. Uh, basic, Basically, what they did is they cut the power cords, uh, put the put the racks on pallets, shipped it back to their depot, uh, inventoried it, and resold it.
Awesome. I do want to understand a little bit more about your cutover strategy as well. So, what was your strategy to minimize downtime and to ensure a smooth transition? Um, did you adopt a top-down or a bottom-up approach or a combination of both? What did you do?
I mean, really, what we did is so we did a lift and shift strategy. So pick up the workload as it's configured in the data center and drop it into AWS within that same configuration. So we had a good idea as to how the application was mapped, how it was being consumed.
Mhm.
The only thing we really had to worry about is the actual final cutover timeline. So early on, we were able to get some baseline measurements of like, okay, if we cut over this many servers, it takes this long to stand up in Amazon, etc. So what we did is for each service within the data center, we kind of mapped out as like, okay, this is our expected cut over outage time, and we
Mhm.
just took hard blocks of outage times, and we communicated that to our customers. Whereas like on Saturday, we're going to take this 12-hour downtime, and once it's done, we'll let you know that the services are back online and you can consume it. So that was really the approach that we took.
Awesome.
Right.
So, other than this cutover outage times, were there any other specific challenges that come to mind that you faced during your cutover process? And uh, what did you do to overcome them so that it wouldn't impact your business operations?
So it wasn't so much during the cutover process. We didn't really run into that many issues
Mhm.
during the cutover process. It's just your normal cutover troubleshooting that you're going to have. Maybe you missed uh, a port that needed to be opened, or DNS wasn't resolving internally correctly, or you have to force some DNS updates to happen so name resolution happens correctly. Uh, the thing that was probably the hardest part is the actual preparation work. So one of the things that we did during this migration is we moved all of our transactional email processing away from internal managed mail servers, and we moved all of that to uh, a, s- a transactional mail service called Mailgun.
Mhm.
So actually understanding like where all the mail settings actually were, uh, that was probably the hardest part, to be honest.
Mhm.
But other than that, I mean, it just came down to meticulous discovery, planning, and on the after the execution, just making sure we had a really good testing uh, plan teed up.
Awesome. Thanks, Eric, for providing us so much in depth detail about your migration strategy and your cutover strategy. Over to you, Ajay, to questions on post migration.
Thank you, Eric. So now that you have migrated successfully to cloud, what's next? How are you thinking about modernization on these current application portfolio? What is your strategy around that, Eric?
Yeah, so I mean, we're definitely in the kind of the optimization process of our cloud journey. So we just finished off a modernization effort of converting this one of our uh, applications from to through our application stack of really kind of looking at and assessing. It's like, okay, uh, what cloud native services that we should be doing. How do we reduce our commercial license footprint, et cetera, et cetera.
Awesome. So, you know, the viewers who are watching this, they really want to take one or two things away from this particular episode. In retrospective, what lesson did you learn from this modernization, which you can give it to the viewer and who are in the process of doing a similar migration?
Yeah, I the first biggest thing that I'd like people to just understand. Don't be afraid of this. Public cloud is is no different than running your workload on prem. You have all the same controls and constraints that you need to make your application work and be successful. Uh, that's first and foremost. Secondly, make sure that you are tight with the finance department and you understand the mechanics of where your top 5 items areas of spend are, and that really allows you to cloud strategy.
Awesome. Thank you, Eric. This was wonderful. I am really happy, and thanks for taking time and sharing your journey for this modernization, for your migration. Really appreciate your time.
Thank you for having me on.
Thank you, Eric.